Hi guys, welcome back. It's Tommy, this time with a Starcraft Remastered replay cast, as we have a very interesting engagement here from the South Korean ladder. We have a A-rank game in between a Zerg and a Protoss. So let me just start by introducing the players to you guys, as we have spawning here in the upper right, in the white it is OR7 Zerg as the white Zerg here, and his opponent here in the upper left in the teal it is CCZ HG. So two players from South Korea fighting it out here on Polypoid, a 4 spawning location map. Very soon we are going to be checking out their build orders. Protoss versus Zerg, quite interesting. Let's see what their tactics are going to be, what exactly they will choose to go for, as we already see the Protoss moving out with his pylon quite out of the base. So this looks like he's going to pretty much create a wall off here in order to protect his expansion. At the same time, his probe is also moving out very early, and it might be a lucky scout for him. The same can be said here for the Zerg, as the overall is moving here forward towards the expansion point from the Protoss. Let's check the Zerg very quick. Still no buildings for him. I believe he's saving indeed he's saving minerals for a fast expansion. Going to try to lure the probe out here of this expansion point, or is he just trying to go for a different expansion point? In the meantime, the probe stays here, so the Zerg losing a little bit of a temptum here as he's going for a spawning pool, and very soon it should be also a gas here. So he's actually moving out very far away. Is he going to take the lower right part? We're about to find out what exactly his plans are. In the meantime, spawning pool and gas is up. The probe taking some damage here, but yeah, the Zerg did lose some time there with his expansion, still not having that expansion up. Still the probe is causing him a little bit of hardship here, as he's even denying now the expansion with a pylon. So very smart move by him. In the meantime, the the drone is coming back. Is he going to take this expansion right here? Let's see, he might even take the 3 o'clock position here, so that would be very smart. Indeed, he's going for the 3 o'clock position. Yeah, let's have a look at the Protoss. There is a cannon and one gateway in the front, so both players looking like they're preparing their macro game. You can see, of course, it's some probes have been on denial, so there it is. Of course, A rank, could it be a C rank, but I'm pretty sure it's both players are pretty much average. You can also see it from the APM, so I decided to just cast a average match. But as you can see from the timer, quite a long game, quite an interesting one with lots and lots of different strategies and different units, as the first Zerglings are also moving here out onto the map. The way is pretty much shut, but I believe, no, actually the gateway is going to shut this entrance here as well. 2 probes on standby, so pretty good tactic here by the Protoss. And let's see if the Zerglings will make anything happen here. Very hard to notice them here onto the ground, as they have the same color as the ground here. And in the meantime, the Zerg also taking his second expansion, as the Protoss, interesting enough, still not having his expansion started, going out for a cybernetics core first, so quite a unusual build order there by him. And the Zerg taking his other expansion here, so things very much secured. Very great defense by both players. Actually, the Protoss deciding to go for Zealot first, but we do see our Zerg Hydroid stand now here for the Zerg. So in case I'm missing something, of course, the upper left part shows you, of course, what buildings are being made, and this could actually indicate to us that it is going to be a faster attack here by the Zerg, with some Zerglings with some high risk early on. This could be quite deadly against the Protoss, in case the Protoss is not going for any defenses here. Many more cannons are needed to shut down, of course, all of those high risk, and it could be a push around the 8-minute mark. Let's see if this is indeed the plan from the Zerg, as one probe is once again moving out, and we do see the expansion here being finished for the Zerg. Gas is getting mined. We also see a starport here for the Protoss, so very soon some Corsairs will be headed out. Speed is being done for the Hydralisk. We also have the Citadel of Adum for speed for the Zealots. And yeah, still a tier 1 Zerg, not deciding to go for a tier 2, but of course he has the high risk stand up, so very soon some high risk will be very likely sent out to attack the expansion point here from his opponent. And yeah, very late expansion indeed here for the Protoss. Yeah, let's see what's going to happen here. Some probes are getting transferred here. Let's have a look at the worker count. Pretty much the same worker count here for both players. Yeah, but remember the Zerg is losing one worker after each building, so the Protoss should actually have more workers if you ask me. And now the first Corsair is out. Very good for scouting, very good for being annoying early on against overlords, but of course the Zerg with a nice timing here with his Hydralisk. He's going to be ready to protect those overlords against incoming Corsair threats here, so the Corsair is very likely going to be only used for some scouting positions here, and I believe the Zerg might also try to go for speed for his overlords in order to make an attack. Well, let's have a look what exactly his plans are. As he is indeed moving out now at around the 6-minute mark. He's feeling very confident, but more cannons will finish here on time for the Protoss. Let's see, the units are coming in. It's lots and lots of Zerg, lots. One Corsair almost getting killed. A good micro here by the Protoss. The cannons should finish here, and the Overlord has been sniped. The Zerg taking quite some damage. One cannon is about to get killed, so only one cannon being left alive. The Zealots quite nicely here on hold position. Lots and lots of more cannons are getting added here, so a little bit of a panic mode by the Protoss, but of course this is justified given the fact that the Zerg could go an all-in with lots and lots of units, and also adding another pylon here. Very smart move by the Protoss. And in the meantime, let's see, tier 2 is also getting upgraded for him, but this will of course force some Hydralisks to stay back in order to protect those overlords. In the meantime, just a small group of 3 Hydralisks dealing some damage here against the opponent, but more are to come as another hatchery is about to finish, and very soon we are going to be closing in towards the 10-minute mark. And more damage is being taken here by the Zerg, but reinforcements are nicely pulling forward here for him. However, we do have a Dark Templar, so sadly here for the Zerg, he has no vision. He's pretty much going to throw everything he has forward, but yeah, he needs to be careful to have vision against this one Dark Templar, which very likely is going to go towards this expansion point at the 3 o'clock. No overlords here for vision, but the Zerg nicely reacting immediately with his overlords here, and I believe the Corsairs will very likely be taken out very soon. So very smart anticipation here by the Zerg, knowing of course that his expansion was pretty much exposed. Now he has so many overlords in the air and Hydralisk on the ground, and even the Dark Templar has been sniped, so very smart anticipation here indeed by the Zerg. Great stuff here by both players as the expansion is finally mining, and the Protoss might even consider to take another expansion point here into this location. But yeah, in the meantime, things have settled down a little bit. More gateways are being added, more hatcheries are being introduced. The upgrades also started to kick in here for both players. Missile one for the Hydralisk, and yeah, both players now pretty much decide to play it very defensively here, as both players are pretty much expecting an attack by the opponent. And yeah, still a small stalemate here, as we see some Sunkans actually being built here by the Zerg, so he's pretty much expecting an attack with some Zealots. And let's have a look what the next steps are going to be. Another hatchery here, also nice spore, giving vision, giving more Sunkans here, interesting enough, into the main. So I believe he's doing this just to have protection against the Corsairs and against some drops with some DTs. Perhaps the Zerg has lost some previous games where the opponent has pretty much did a nice job with a shuttle, with a DT, Dark Templar, and now he has vision with the spore, and he can also of course kill the DT with the Sunken. In the meantime, the Protoss decides to play it safe. He's going to take his expansion right here, as more units are getting gathered here for the Zerg. He's closing slowly but steadily towards the 100 supply mark, and in the meantime the Protoss will of course answer with the High Templar Storms. Great counter against the sheer masses of the Zerg. So in comes the attack by the Zerg versus the second expansion point. There are some Zealots here on hold position. They do have speed upgraded, and the Great Storm actually getting casted here by the Zerg, and yet another one. So nice stuff here by him. And I believe the zealots should be able to hold this. Not only that, but the reinforcements are now pouring forward, so the Zerg has to retreat. A lucky Hydralisk here with 7 HP. And in the meantime, I believe also the Zerg might also consider taking his expansion, but the Protoss also nicely guarding here the expansion points. And yeah, we do see, of course, once again masses of cannons. So a very interesting macro game we have indeed here in between the two pro players. I'll move out here, but it's just a couple of Hydralisks. I believe the Protoss should of course be okay. Just needs to be careful with those High Templars, not to expose them in the front. They might be taken out, so he needs to be very careful here. The important units taking some damage. One High Templar is taking out, the second one casting already a storm. As the cannons should finish here, I believe as soon as the cannons finish, the Protoss expansion should be okay. More and more is getting added here by the Zerg. More and more Hydralisk. Is he going to perhaps transition into some Mutalisk? It would be very interesting to see some Mutalisk. Some Ultralisk would also be very interesting to see. As in comes the Protoss now, it's only one Sunken here to defend. So in come the Zealots, the Sunken will of course be taken out immediately. And now the Hydralisk have to find a better position. There is a second Sunken here, so the Zerg tries to buy some time. And now some Lurkers finally hatching here. Great reaction by the Zerg. And yeah, with the Lurkers and with the reinforcements, he should be okay. As the Protoss might try to attack onto a different front, perhaps here into this location. Also 3 nicely spreaded Sunkens for him, but in the end the Protoss decides to pull back. And the Zerg is going to secure his first expansion point. Still no other expansion point by him. He will very likely react very soon. There is his drone. But the DT is of course chasing as in comes another attack by the Zerg. It's going to be able to do some damage as there's so many High Templars on the ground, even a shuttle in the air. But we do have some Lurkers. Is there vision, however, here for the Protoss? That is the question. And I don't see any observers, so he's going to take quite some damage here out of the Lurker. Yeah, the Hydralisk will be snapped, but in the end, only High Templar Storms will be able to deal damage towards the Lurker here. As the Zerg has indeed taken his other expansion. So great macro game. You can see both players having a great economy, lots and lots of workers. Interesting enough here for the Protoss, he only has 40 probes versus the 51 of the Zerg. So he might also consider to take yet another expansion point. Perhaps this one here at the 12 o'clock position. Let's see if this is indeed his tactics, as the DT has done a nice job here chasing the drone and killing it. In the meantime, the Protoss might take the 6 o'clock position here, so yeah, some Hydras are moving here out. So we have a very interesting game indeed. We have only one pylon here to guard all of those cannons, so it might be targeted very soon here by the Zerg, and all of the cannons would be unpowered. Well, let's see who's going to be able to do the first or the next moves, the next attacks. We can see masses of Lurkers actually getting produced here by the Zerg. And the next expansion point is pretty much ready, with only 40 workers now here for the Zerg. So I believe lots and lots of buildings have created here. We can even see a spire getting produced, so we might see a transition into some Mutalisk. Still no tier 3 for him. Lots and lots of evolution chambers for the upgrades. Lots of upgrades here as well for the Protoss. But yeah, still no major attack yet, as the Protoss has indeed taken his expansion and the Lurker securing the other expansion point. Finally, we do have an observer in the air, so the Lurker is going to be taken out. So a very nice macro game indeed. The Lurkers are now in position, they're nicely getting spreaded, so the Zerg is going to play it very defensively. He's expecting of course an attack by the Protoss, creating this nice beeline here in order to avoid the High Templar storms. So yeah, even some Sunkens are getting added here into the newly established base. And of course, still anyone's game, still masses of Hydralisk being added on patrol here, so he might also expect a drop with a shuttle. The shuttle, no, it's actually a DT that is moving here forward. Hold on, we actually have a major move out here by the Protoss. He's taking some damage, some Dragoons have been added. Finally, he has vision as he's bringing his Zealots here front, but there's so many Lurkers here, and lots of Storms will be added, some Overlords also in the way. But you can see, of course, masses of Sunkens, and interesting enough, he has added some Spores. Not sure why, perhaps a misclick here by the Zerg with some Spores here into this location. I believe he just wanted some Sunkens to have a ground defense. In the meantime, we have a pole position here, Protoss. But remember, he has this base right here, adding more and more of his miners, and he might consider into attacking into this ramp right here. Could be quite interesting. An Arbiter would be also nice to see, or some carriers later on here for the Protoss. An Arbiter would be really great here to add all of those High Templars, those Zealots underground, immediately doing splash damage with the High Templar Storms here. As slowly but steadily we're closing towards the 20-minute mark here. It's still gateways for the Protoss, but all actually we do have an Arbiter Tribunal, so we might see some Arbiters. Quite a smart idea here for the Protoss, if you ask me. Arbiters would be great here. It's just 3 Sunkens guarding this, and like I told you, the High Templars would quickly cast the Storms. But yeah, in the meantime the Zerg tries of course to take out the expansion right here. He will be intercepted by some High Templar Storms, so the Protoss should be okay. It's a very important expansion here for him, as the Zerg also and 4 bases. So 4 base Protoss versus 4 base Zerg, still in one game. Like I told you, slowly but steadily we're closing into being maxed out here. Maxed out Zerg, quite deadly. Still no Mutalisks are getting produced. More and more cannons are actually getting produced here for the Protoss. Let's see what his plans are. Actually massively investing into his defenses here, into the newly established base, as the Protoss thinks of course that the next target for the Zerg is going to be the base right there, and nicely spreaded lurkers here to this location. In the meantime the Zerg also securing another expansion here into this location. So yeah, quite a nice game we have here, but with no major engagement yet, with no major attack yet. The Protoss tried a nice attack here, but there were so many lurkers under the ground. And interesting enough, the Zerg still goes into mass spores here, so not quite sure. Perhaps he's expecting a shuttle gameplay. Maybe the Arbiter gameplay would be also expected here by him. Maybe some carriers would also be an option here for the Protoss, so this is why he's going into so many spores, also to have vision. But yeah, the stalemate continues. More and more control here for the Protoss, as he might try to secure the lower right part. So I believe he's going to send out a probe very soon in order to have control of the lower right part versus his opponent. So let's see if this is indeed going to be his option, as the Zerg still on hold position, still expecting the attack from his opponent. And we actually see some overlords moving here forward. Perhaps this was a drop with some units here, but yeah, the Protoss still on 48 workers, so no major damage has been taken here for the Protoss, as some cannons are getting added. So actually it was a drop with some Hydroisk here, so perhaps the economy did suffer a little bit here for the Protoss. So a nice attack by the Zerg. In the meantime we have a huge move out with some Zerglings, with some Hydras into the middle of the map, perhaps going to the next expansion point here from the Protoss. But he might get surrounded very soon, so he needs to be careful. Some units are coming in from both sides, both directions. So a smart engagement here for the Protoss, as he's splitting the troops here from the Zerg. And yeah, this attack pretty much been taken out, so nice job by him. At the same time we also have a move out here with some Hydroisk, so all of a sudden the position here is getting secured by the Zerg, so the Protoss really has to hurry up, as a hatchery after another hatchery is getting added here, and some lurkers are also getting hatched. So the Protoss has to hurry up very quickly. He might get blocked, the entrance might get blocked. It would have been very smart for him to take the Hydroisk and just block here the entrance with it, as more and more units are getting thrown here forward. But it's just a couple of Zerglings. Let's check those upgrades. Speed is not being done, of course. It's still finally it's going towards the hive, as now in comes the Protoss. But remember, the lurkers has pretty much been finished here, as the Zerg should be okay here if he's reacting quickly and just securing this ramp right here. He has to hurry up. Lots and lots of lurkers have been added, but yeah, I think he should be okay. Sadly for him, he has to abandon the expansion right here, so the Protoss has to retreat. He's just going to take out a couple of Zerglings with the lurker right there. But yeah, in the end the Zerg taking this important expansion here right here, so the Protoss of course reacting by taking this expansion right here. And very soon I believe he's going to try to build a wall off here as well to secure this other expansion. In the meantime, he has control of the middle of the map, and we have passed indeed the 20-minute mark. Both players tries, of course, to deal damage towards their economies, but yeah, the Zerg now with a great control into the lower right part, as the Protoss has taken the upper left or lower left line, and those Zerglings will of course fall immediately against so many cannons right here. So let's see if we're going to be seeing a transition into some ultras. Could be very interesting. What are going to be the late game units here by both players, and where exactly is that arbiter? Oh, there it is. So yeah, what is he doing here? He's just adding more gateways. I know actually starports, and we do see corsairs getting produced. So interesting enough, I believe he's going to try to snipe the overlords in the air from his opponent and to give cover towards the arbiter. So let's see if the Protoss is going to commit and where exactly he's going to attack. This base is pretty much maxed out, but this base right here is pretty much fragile. There is a Night Zone, but hold on, we actually have an attack here. Lots and lots of Zerglings take splash damage out of the storms. So the Zerg losing unit after unit. You can see all of the blood on the ground. Is the Protoss going to pretty much commit here, or is he going to wait for those arbiters and the corsairs to arrive? The corsairs can of course cast the fog on the ground to give more cover towards the units. And yeah, let's see what his strategy is going to be here. Corsairs are getting added indeed with the arbiter. No carriers yet here for the Protoss, as he's still having a good control onto the ground. The Zerg is pretty much maxed out now, so he has so many lurkers, but still decides to play it defensively. But hold on, actually a great reaction here, great by him. He's going into some guardians, so guardians will be great. And this is exactly why the Protoss has went into some corsairs. So both players with a great anticipation, a great strategy move here. Guardians versus those corsairs, just one Mutalisk guarding them. I believe the Protoss is going to wait for those guardians to hatch, and then he's going to attack. So quite a smart move here by the Protoss. There are some scourges in the air, but they will of course stand no chance against so many corsairs. So yeah, great move by the Protoss, taking some damage, but in the end 2 corsairs are being left alive, and the guardians have of course to retreat towards the cover of the spore, but they take more and more damage. So this is exactly why the Zerg has went into some spores. He's going for some guardians versus the corsairs here from the Protoss. So both players, nice stuff here, as some Zerglings will try to deal some damage. We have finally adrenaline into those Zerglings, and the Protoss tries of course to expand into this location, but it's not getting allowed. So let's see if those guardians will once again attack. The Zerg needs more air defenses, and the Protoss still not being maxed out here, even though we have passed the 23 mana mark. He has massively invested into his cannons, into his defenses. It's looking still strong, but the Zerg is also maxed out here, and he might even try to sacrifice some guardians and go into more and more of those units. At the same time, he's also losing Zergling after Zergling here, so this cannon is quite smartly moved here, as the ramp is also getting secured. And yeah, one cannon can of course two-shot the Zergling, as the buildings are taking more and more damage here. So one Zergling quite annoying to deal with. And yeah, let's have a look how the game will unfold. Still a very defensive gameplay here for both players. Zerglings and Hydralisk here on the ground for him, as finally the one lurker will arrive here and deal damage towards the ropes. So it's very hard for the Protoss to react here. He has a Reaver onto the ground, going to be able to deal some damage. And let's see if he's going to have an observer here to back him up. But in the meantime, lots and lots of Zerglings are pulling here forward. So finally, this could be very interesting here for the Zerg, as he might snipe the Reaver, but no, in the end the Scarab will save him here. And in the meantime, another expansion has been taken here by him. And actually this one is pretty much exposed, so if the Protoss is hurrying up very fast, might be able to attack. But hold on, actually in the meantime the Guardians are moving here forward, and this time lots and lots of Scourges are here to protect them. And with that, the siege continues here forward. There's lots and lots of action is happening here all around the map. The Corsairs are pretty much exposed here as they try to take out more and more Scourges. But the real damage is of course happening here into this location with the Guardians. attacking. So what's the strategy here for him? He's actually going for some carriers. So carriers into the late game, very strong. Very good stuff. Even the High Templar might be able to cast some storms here if he says into the range. Oh, and in the meantime we actually see a move out here with the Arbiter. Great stuff by him. Nice job here by the Protoss, as he's able to take out one of the newly established bases with many dark swarms onto the ground. We do have indeed an Arbiter gameplay here for the Protoss. In the meantime the Guardians are still attacking, but what a great move here by him, and quite an unusual strategy here for the Protoss. The Arbiter against a Zerg is very rarely seen, but still quite interesting and quite strong if you ask me, especially into the late game. In the meantime actually the Guardian is taking some splash damage, so nice reaction here by the Protoss. And the Dark Swarm still in the back, as the Protoss units will be able to take cover here underneath the Arbiter. So slowly but steadily we're closing towards the 30-minute mark. Quite interesting stuff here. Some pretty much exposed Zerg defilers here. I don't know what exactly the Zerg is doing, just pretty much casting the plague, just moving around here with those defilers. Quite interesting stuff here by him, as I believe he's going to try to push forward with the Zerglings, with the defilers. I believe he's going to try to go straight towards the main buildings here, to main the production buildings here, and this could be quite deadly, as the Protoss tries to inflict damage towards the economy from his opponent. So it's the economy versus the production buildings. Those players are taking quite some damage here. Quite nice stuff here by them, and let's see when exactly the Zerg is going to react. He has so many defilers, and there it is. There is the siege happening here, but more defilers are needed with the Dark Swarm in the front to give cover towards those lurkers. A very smart move by him, and now the Protoss pretty much has to react. He of course tries to inflict damage towards the expansion, but the real action is of course happening here with many Dark Swarms on the ground, and now the production buildings will be under threat. So perhaps the Protoss really has to even teleport his units back somehow to come back here. He really needs those units. There are some carriers here guarding this, but is it going to be enough? The carriers have to react. They have to fly over and kill the scorpions here onto the ground. So yeah, in come the Zerglings. The carriers are in position, but the gateway is going to fall very quick. And in the meantime we can see the reinforcements pouring here forward for the Zerg, as there are not that many interceptors being left here alive for the Protoss. So he hasn't really done so many interceptors. He has to snipe the important units, he has to snipe the defilers here, as he's taking more and more damage. So he needs to react somehow, as the Zerg is pretty much throwing everything he has towards his main. The production buildings under threat, taking more and more damage. The carriers on hold position, taking more damage out of the plague, and even the high risk can now take out the carriers. So finally the Protoss reacting, noticing that he has to react, but in the end the high risk even taking out those interceptors in the air. So all of a sudden a major step forward here by the Zerg, and could this be the winning move? I don't really think it is, even though the Protoss is taking quite some damage. We will just soon pass the 30-minute mark, but now all of the production buildings and even the carriers have been taken out. So the Zerg with a great move, but the economy is still looking strong for the Protoss here, as he's taking more and more damage, and all of his production buildings pretty much have been taken out. So the Protoss might have to shift towards some newly established bases here, towards some newly gateway. I believe gateway units will be the winning move here against the Zerg. The High Templar Storms are much needed here against those units. So yeah, let's see. Carriers not really the answer here against the late game Zerg. I believe High Templars with splash damage, Zealots and Dragoons, and even a red Archon could be the answer here against this. In the meantime, the Zerg also securing this expansion right here. So let's see what the Protoss can do right now. Reavers, I even forgot about the Reavers. The Reavers of course would be great against the Zerg units. In the meantime, some bases aren't really taken, so the Zerg is expanding all over the map once again. He has now pretty much cleared all of the production buildings here from his opponent, as he's now moving forward, clearing more and more of the structures here for the Protoss. And the Protoss has to react, he has to bring down his units towards the newly established base, perhaps, as this expansion can also once again be taken here by the Zerg. So the Zerg with a little bit of a mistake here, not reacting fast with a hatchery. Now he has the upper hand, he has more supply, he has more control. Look at that, the Protoss dropping to 134. But with the Reavers, with the Zealots on the ground, let's check the upgrades very quick. Good upgrades here by him. He even has a shuttle, and might come back somehow into this game. As you can see, the game is still lasting for quite some long time, and we actually have a teleportation here move, but where exactly did land straight here into the point from his opponent. So nice move by the Protoss all of a sudden, as he's also being able to take out some hatcheries. The Arbiter's giving great cover, so nice move here by the Protoss. In the meantime, the Zerg reacting immediately. He might even take this expansion right here. He finally reacts and takes this expansion right here, but the Protoss can of course punish this with those Arbiters, so a great teleportation once again with the Arbiter here into this location as he's moving forward. Lots and lots of Sunkens. We even have a Ultris then, but still no Artosis. Let's see if he's going to commit and try to attack here, but there's so many Sunkens on the ground, even some Lurkers. We see the Arbiter once again moving forward. The Scourges not reacting here. Perhaps the Zerg forgot about the Scourges, as in comes the move by the Protoss. This Arbiter might teleport his units very soon into the newly established base. The Zerg of course expecting this move, and let's see if the Arbiter is going to make it here forward with his teleportation, or is it going to be no, it's just seeing the expansion right here. And now the Zerg pretty much in control of this game with lots and lots of hatcheries. However, we can see there's still lots and lots of time here for the Protoss, as some great storms have been casted, so still more and more time is here available for the Protoss, as he has so many defenses here, so many cannons, and the Reavers might be the perfect answer towards all of the ground units here from his opponent. So still the better economy here for the Protoss actually versus his opponent. He has 10k gold, actually 10k minerals, as the Zerg has pretty much invested into so many units. He's now only trying to expand, trying to add more and more workers. And yeah, some Scourges are idle here. He needs to be careful. He perhaps has to mass those units right here. All of those Lurkers are here, right here, can be transferred into a better position, perhaps into the middle of the map or into the newly established base. So perhaps a small mistake here by the Zerg, leaving all of those Lurkers here into this location. And even the Scourges is producing some units, but yes, so many Lurkers that can be used more offensively, perhaps into this new location, just to intercept the out-moving units by the Protoss. And even some Zerglings here on patrol by him, as more units are getting added. So yeah, just some Zerglings being thrown out here by him, even more Lurkers here into this location, some units on islands. So we pretty much are once again waiting here for the next steps, but this time of course the Zerg has to attack. I believe the Protoss is going to play it very defensively here. He has so many cannons, so many Reavers. He might even try to long distance mine this location right here. It would be very interesting, as a overlord is going to come here forward. At the same time, very interesting here for the Zerg. He might also use masses of overlords to drop units here into this location, as they're not getting well defended. Of course, the sheer masses of defenses are here into this location, but some drops with some overlords into this location could deal massive amounts of damage towards the production buildings from his opponent. And this is why I believe he's going to react now with some pylons here, as we still have a stalemate onto the map. Still the units are getting here in the back. Not sure why the Zerg is leaving them there, but I'm sure he has his reasons. And lots of defilers here as well, so even more units here, even more Lurkers with some mutilates. So we might see some Guardians very soon by him, as he's trying to actually not mining here from this newly established base. So he might even, oh, the reason why he's just being maxed out, so he needs some drones, where perhaps he's going to snipe some Zergs, perhaps he's going to suicide some Zerglings. He really has to do something happening. Well, of course the Protoss is reacting. He's putting some Dragoons on patrol. He's adding more cannons here, knowing of course that this ledge right here is pretty much vulnerable, even this one here. So the Zerg could of course attack some probes on idle here, but that's okay, as the stalemate continues. However, now we finally have a move out. The Zerg of course realizing that he needs more drones. He's losing more and more of those minerals, not going to allow the Protoss to expand into this location, as he's now moving forward with his Zerglings, with his high risk. But yeah, the defenses look very strong for the Protoss, and even adding more and more of those cannons here. So very defensive gameplay here for the Protoss. Of course the Protoss is inviting his opponent to attack. He knows he has the economic advantage. He knows he has 8k minerals, and look at that, the Zerg only had 200 minerals. So he really needs to mine out the map very quickly. He really needs to suicide some units here in order to have more and more of those drones, but I believe the Protoss is not going to give up this location right here very quickly. He knows of course that this location is really, really important, so he's moving out with his units, perhaps also going to try to lure his opponent into the cannons, and at the same time it would be very, very hard for him to attack here, so many lurkers on the ground. But by the move out, he looks like he's going to secure this location right here, as more and more cannons have been added here by him. And the Zerg should of course add more workers. That's exactly what he's doing. Let's see, he even has some gas here getting mine depleted actually, and some units are mining here as well. As we do see once again some Zerglings getting suicided here. I believe the Zerg is just doing that to add more and more of those workers here. So yeah, still a very interesting game we have here, and a great defensive gameplay here by Protoss. If he's going to be able to take this expansion right here, he might have the upper hand. I believe the Zerg is going to get forced to attack, and it's very, very hard to attack against High Templar Storms and Reavers, especially against those Reavers onto the ground. Great defensive unit against the air grounds, against the ground units. And quite interesting here, no reaction by both players. Perhaps they're tired after such a long game. The Dragoons could of course shut down those units, but hold on, actually we do have a move out here by the Protoss with his units, moving here forward with his Zealots, with his Dragoons towards the base here from his opponent. And yeah, let's see how this is going to work out. Lots and lots of Sunkans here to protect the base. Some units on the ground. Pretty much great plagues are being casted here, and not that many Zealots are being left alive, as the Dragoons will take some damage. So quite interesting enough, the Protoss actually deciding to move here forward with an attack. He's going to be able to snipe the Sunken, and with that the base is here pretty much exposed. Great High Templar Storms, the reinforcements are being sent here forward by the Zealot, but it's just a couple of Zerglings, and this base is going to be pretty much taken out. Finally the reinforcements are coming forward with the Dark Swarm, with the Zerglings onto the ground. In the end this will be very likely cleared, but the damage has been done. Hold on, actually the Dragoons do hold their ground, and the Zerg has to produce more and more units, but he doesn't really have that many minerals left, as his newly established base is once again being taken out. So yeah, Zealots are here to take out the buildings, to protect the Dragoons onto the ground. They can deal of course damage in the Dark Swarm, and Archon is also being casted here. So yeah, great move out here by the Protoss, showing his presence, dealing more and more damage. And look at that, the economy here from the Zerg struggling really, really hard as we will close in towards the 40-minute mark. So great move by the Protoss. More and more Zerglings will of course melt here against this one Archon, as the reinforcements are getting sent here forward by him. And yeah, Zerg is sending out some Zerglings, but they will be taken out, and the sheer mass here for the Protoss looking really, really strong, as the Scourges are finally moving forward. And like I told you, I don't really agree with all of those lurkers onto the ground there. They could have of course been used. Sadly the Zerg with some mistakes here, sending out his Scourges, lots and lots of lurkers being used defensively for no reason at all here. Some mistake, but of course we all make mistakes, and even more lurkers here. Imagine all of those lurkers on the defense here towards those bases. He could actually transfer all of those lurkers from here into this location right here. And yeah, the Protoss adding more and more units as he's moving now forward, but it's going to be really hard for him to attack here. So many lurkers onto the ground, and we even have Dark Swarm. Only the Zealots will be able to deal some good damage, as even some Scourges are in the air to snipe the Observer. So very smart move by him. Now there is no vision for the Protoss, as he's only relying onto those High Templars, and we even have some Guardians getting cocooned here. So Guardians once again they will be able to guard the expansion right here, and lots of Sunkans in the back, even some lurkers. So very smart move by the Zerg, dealing more and more damage towards the units from the Protoss, and the Guardians of course great to deal with all of the units here, even some Scourges in the air. It's funny, the Dark Storm has expired, but the Zerg is able to hold, and the Protoss has to retreat a little bit. He did suffer some losses, but in the end same supply here for both players. Still the economy from the Protoss looking very, very strong, as he keeps out sending wave after wave. Perhaps the shuttle with the Reavers would also be a great addition here to his army. And we once again have some carriers, I believe. No, it's an arbiter getting produced by him. So we have passed the 40-minute mark. Slowly but steadily we're closing towards the end of this game, and it's still anyone's game. Perhaps the Protoss this time with an advantage, as he has the economic advantage towards his opponent. The Zerg only mining from here, and this location right here looks also very well mined. But yeah, if he's going to produce just Zerglings, it's going to be very hard for him to attack versus Reavers and versus those Archons. They also melt against the High Templar Storms. And now the Zerg onto the defense, just sending out small groups of those Zerglings towards his opponent. Still the Lurkers on idle here, so yeah, quite an interesting move by him. Might be lucky to snipe some High Templar Storms here, and in the end some Hydras do exactly this, but is it going to be enough against so much Protoss onto the ground? Yeah, we're about to find out, as the Protoss pretty much looking like he's going to siege this expansion right here from his opponent. The Zerg tries of course his best with Dark Swarms into the back, and Great Plague actually being casted here by him, as he's going to be able to deal some damage towards the Protoss units. And let's have a look what's going to happen here. Lots and lots of Scorpions onto the ground, still the Guardians in the air. And let's see, still those units are being trapped here, so perhaps this is why he's leaving some Lurkers here behind to defend this, but just a couple of 4 Lurkers, 5 would be enough, as even some Sankas are being added. And the Zerg once again tries with some small groups to move out, but now we do have the Reavers onto the ground, and the Zealots will also be able to deal lots and lots of splash damage. High Templar Storms once again being casted, as pretty much everything what the Zerg is throwing here towards his opponent is getting snapped. And a nice micro here with his shuttle, in the end reacting very, very fast, dropping the Reavers, and now it's just a Lurker or 2 being left alive here, as the Zerg is taking more and more damage and dropping more and more into the supply. And yeah, those units are trapped. Perhaps they will be transferred very soon with a shuttle. So let's see, a Great Plague once again getting casted here by him, as some units are getting added here as well. So the Zerg with a great defensive gameplay. Interesting enough, the Protoss is attacking and the Zerg on the defense. Let's see, the Reavers might get taken out very soon, as their HP is really, really low, as the Guardians are now finally arriving here forward. And where are those Corsairs, as the Reavers will be targeted very soon. We might see a Storm, Great Storm actually getting casted, but those Guardians are really, really tanky. And yeah, more and more damage is being taken left and right, as once again the Protoss is at 10k of minerals. So he really has to spend all of those minerals very, very quickly. Let's see, perhaps he's saving for some carriers to have the late game advantage. Just create a massive fleet of carriers, but he has to hurry up, as the Zerg also is going to be able to add many, many more units very soon. He's going to try to surround the units from the Protoss. I believe the plan from the Protoss was to take this expansion here as well, but now we finally have some Ultra-Risk, and Ultra-Risk very, very strong onto the ground. A great investment here for the Zerg. Great investment indeed. Let's have a look at the next steps. Still lots and lots of defenses here for the Zerg, and this newly established base, newly established expansion point is going to be fought forward here for both players. And let's see what's going to happen, as an Arbiter is now moving out. So we might see a teleportation attempt once again here by the Protoss with his masses. And more and more High Templars are getting added. So all of a sudden the Protoss has dropped to 6k minerals. So I believe he has pretty much invested very strong. But what is he doing? Carriers actually. So we're going to be seeing mass carriers onto the late game versus the Zerg. And this will of course force the Zerg to go into some Scourges very, very soon. And still some long distance mining happening here, as the Zerg has finally was able to secure this expansion right here. So where exactly is the Protoss going to attack? 4 carriers are getting produced, more upgrades are being produced. We have an Ultra-Risk and some Guardians actually getting produced here as well. So finally we do see a teleportation here, and a great move indeed. But there's so many sunken, so many spores here onto the ground, as we even have more and more Guardians getting moved here forward. But there is detection of a Great Storm against those Guardians. However, more and more Guardians are getting produced here by the Zerg. So what a crazy, crazy game we have here indeed. Crazy late game, as the Zerg somehow came back into this game. He's once again being maxed out. but the Protoss nicely reacting with those arbiters flying around the map and just dropping more and more of those units towards the enemy. And let's see where exactly his next plan into attacking is going to be, as he's moving out here with his arbiters, or is he going to pretty much heavily invest into those carriers? The carriers are pretty much getting used here, and let's see if the arbiter is once again going to drop here forward, perhaps into the newly established base. Let's see if this is going to indeed be his plan, and there it is. Nice move by him, and the newly established base is not going to get allowed to mine so many units here, as the drop has happened, and there is no vision sadly here for the Zerg. He needs some overlords really quick, as the expansion has been killed. So nice job here by him. Let's see, quite rare to see indeed a drop with arbiters versus the Zerg, as the carriers are now here also guarded by an arbiter, so it might be mass carriers into the late game for him. Even some queens are now getting spawned by the Zerg, so let's see where this is going to take us, as the Protoss might try to mass his units. We are both players pretty much maxed out. Quite interesting to see who is going to be the winner of this game. And the Zerg is once again going to try to secure this expansion right here with his units. Still, I believe he's having all of those lurkers here, so now he could finally just transfer them, but no reaction by him. And there's also units here too. That's okay for them to guard them then, but the expansion point right here, I don't really agree with that. So let's see what's going to happen here. Some Scourges might get some great connection against this Arbiter, so the Arbiter is going to fall. Or is he? No, he's actually being left alive here, so great stuff by the Protoss. With those Archons, we actually see how strong Archons are against the Scourges into the air. And we might see a teleportation attempt once again here by the Protoss, but we do have some Defilers now. Defilers with carriers versus the Protoss. The Archons are doing of course their best, but we might see some great carriers also getting added for his opponent. And you can see once again the purple rain attacking, but we do have actually now stasis traps against the Defilers in the air, so what a rare sight indeed to see stasis trap against those beautiful looking Defilers with a purple attack, purple strawberry attack. So let's see when the carriers will be added here by the Protoss. When finally the fleet is now moving out, very beautiful fleet by him with some arbiters in the back. So what a rare sight indeed, and with that the sheer mass here of those carriers could take the game, as the Ultras will of course stand no chance. The Scourge need to be taken out very quickly. Finally they're able to take out the arbiter, but in the end they will be snapped, and those carriers are really strong. In the meantime, a counter attack here by the Zerg, but it's just a couple of Zerglings and some Hydras. The real damage dealers will of course be the sheer masses of those carriers here, and the Defilers try to attack the interceptors here in this long. They should of course attack the carriers, as one Defiler after the other is going to get snapped here. Units have also been snapped here, and all of a sudden more and more units are being taken out here from the Zerg, one lurker after the other, one obelisk. But actually a great plague has also been casted here against all of those carriers. They have to of course stand their ground. The high tempers are here to give cover, and more of the units from the Zerg are being taken out. Very smart move here by the Protoss. This is going to be the winning move by him. Let's have a look, as the carriers are of course very low thanks to that plague, but more and more units are being taken out, and lots of Scourges are being added. The Scourges might get their target here. Some carriers do take some damage. Finally one or two has fallen, but in the end the carriers are still onto the ground, as the Zerg tries to react with some Zerglings. They will stand of course no chance if no Dark Swarm is being added, and now is moving forward against the buildings from the Zerg. So great stuff here by both players. What a crazy game indeed, as we do see some reinforcements pulling here forward by the Zerg, and even a queen who tries to enter perhaps a carrier somehow, as just 3 carriers are getting laid down here, and some Hydras are moving now forward, as we will pass the 50-minute mark very soon. Still anyone's game, but very crazy long game, as now some Zealots will move here forward against the ground units, as the carriers, not that many carriers being left alive, only 5 of them. Lots and lots of them are really low. Scourges are being added, Mutalisks are being added, and yeah, lots and lots of Scourges indeed. They will have to take their targets down. Nice enough by him. pretty much a chaotic scene as there's units all over the place here for both players. Nice storms are being added, the carriers are still pretty much alive. The Zerg is losing more and more, but the same can be said here for the Protoss, as he has also dropped to 126 of a supply, but still he holds his ground, he's dealing more and more damage, and finally the Hydros should be able to take out one carrier after the other. So yeah, but is it going to be enough here for him? As finally the units have been taken out, the siege has been cleared, but there's still many units, or there should be many more units getting produced here for the Protoss. And yeah, perhaps right now all of a sudden the Zerg is into an advantage, as he might try to secure this expansion right here. He also has those dark swarms onto the ground. Hydras should be able to deal against the carriers, as he's now finally moving out with some lurkers. The other lurkers are still in position here. And that great Plague. I believe Plague might win him this game right here. Plague versus High Templar Storm. Another Plague has been casted, so Plague after Plague versus High Templar Storms. Great spell to have indeed into the late game. Plague really strong. Lots and lots of masses here still alive for his opponent. And you can even cast Plague onto the buildings from your opponent, dealing damage towards the HP, so it's quite interesting. Let's see if this is indeed going to be the tactic. Some Dark Archons. Oh, actually we do have a Red Archon now getting spawned, so we might see some Maelstrom happening very soon versus the opponent. So what an interesting game. I believe a siege is getting prepared here against this location right here. As, however, so many lurkers onto the ground here, and even Dark Storm, so it's going to be very hard for the Protoss. Perhaps that was his mistake. He should of course allow his opponent to attack. And let's take a screenshot out of this one. I believe he's going to try to attack, a very much suicide mission here by him, but I believe he's going to try to commit here forward. In the meantime, we do have some attacks happening here into this location by the Zerg in the river, a little bit exposed. He might try to take out those units. Nice sniping here by him, but now the Plague once again is being casted, and I believe the Protoss is going to try to commit here forward, but there's also many lurkers onto the ground. Let's see if he's going to be successful as he's moving out with his zealots. Lots and lots of splash damage, even some Mutalisks are getting produced here to snipe out perhaps the Reaver. The Red Archon is also here into the front. Great storms are getting casted. The lurkers will immediately fall, and the Mutalisks will also fall here, as this expansion has also been taken out here for him. But yeah, the Zerg will also lose his expansion very soon. However, lots and lots of lurkers are still being left alive, so the Archon is going to be able to take lots and lots of damage indeed. But lots and lots of units are hurt from the Plague. So yeah, the Plague is of course a great cast to have versus the Protoss into the late game, as more and more units are getting brought forward. Plague with the Dark Swarm, what a great unit to have indeed as a Zerg. The Defiler, quite imbalanced unit, as now in come the sheer masses from the Zerg once again moving here forward. And this expansion is also getting secured by the Zerg. In the meantime, the lurkers are also securing this expansion right here. So with that, I believe the Zerg might have done it here, but I'm not quite sure, as still a fleet of carriers might get produced here by the Zerg. And we see some lots and lots of gases getting mined here from the Protoss, as still more defenses are being produced here for the Zerg. Still some Sunken, still some Spores, lurkers. So very defensive gameplay here from both players. Quite an interesting game. Very rare sight. Lots and lots of investments in towards those defenses, Sunkens and cannons here. But of course Plague with Dark Storm can take that out very quickly. So perhaps the units have learned something here, and we do have two lone carriers moving out, but they might take a Plague, and you can even see upgraded Hydras are very strong versus the carriers, as more and more units are getting produced here, especially by the Zerg. And it's just two carriers still, they're dealing good damage, but we do have now Mutalisk actually transitioning to Mutalisk, as the Observer is going to be taken out, but there's now carriers and Corsairs in the air versus the units from the Protoss, as of course the newly established base is going to be very important here for the Zerg. So yeah, with that, he might have done it here. I believe he's almost getting close to being maxed out. Let's see what the Protoss has. Some Zealots, some Dragoons, still a strong army here for him. Let's see how things will unfold. Who is going to be the one attacking first? More supply here for the Zerg, as he has was able to expand right there, and we do have indeed yes, indeed, the Protoss has left the game. So the Protoss has left the game, meaning that the Zerg has indeed won this crazy game. Now he even microing a little, perhaps just exercising his micro abilities here with his Mutalisk, perhaps celebrating this great game by him. Look at that micro, great micro, just like Jaedong taking out cannon after cannon. What a great move here by him. Might even try to take out his Panther, or did he not realize that his opponent has left the game? That could also be the case, but I believe he's just going to try to yeah, just exercise his micro here. Great move by the Zerg. OR7 I Zerg, great nickname here indeed. And yeah, in the end the Zerg, of course, with a great macro game, great defensive gameplay here by both players. But like I told you, I believe the Dark Swarm and the Plague has pretty much secured the win here from the Zerg. So what a great spell indeed to have versus the Protoss units. A nice arbiter gameplay here as well by the Protoss, giving him some advantages somehow. We even have some Guardians, we even have carriers, everything. Yeah, great game indeed. And yeah, HG has of course left this game, and the Zerg perhaps celebrating right now the victory here for him, as like I told you, Plague, great spell to have, Dark Swarm, even a greater Plague, and actually even producing more and more. So perhaps he's just exercising more his micro, exercising more his production capabilities. Really great stuff by him. A very long game, and a well-deserved win by him, as he's now being able to take out the last production buildings for him. So yeah, let's just check out the stats very quick, just in case you guys are interested. More of actually the Protoss in at spot 1 here for him. Let me just click left and right. Yeah, he produced, the Zerg actually producing more units, but like I told you, the Dark Swarm and the Plague winning him the game. Great counters with the high temper storms, but I believe in the end the Zerg pretty much had too much to offer. You can see that almost 1200 units getting produced. The Protoss, however, killing of course more with the high temper storms. Lots and lots of lurkers indeed on idle here for the Zerg. And let's have a look how much resources, more resources here for the Zerg, more structures, units as well. And yeah, let's have a look at the gas, more gas getting mined here for the Zerg as well. Minerals. Nice game indeed. So very long game, a quite interesting game indeed. A medium game. I don't think it was a noob game, a medium game, but of course I'm going to be casting some long games indeed, just in case you guys want to see it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. This is Tommy signing out.